A printing press is a device. It is used to print ink evenly onto paper or cloth. Johann Gutenberg, a German goldsmith, invented the printing press on September 29, 1455. Gutenberg's printing press changed history. It created a new age, the age of books. When the printing press was first invented, it opened up a whole new world to people, the world of literacy. Literacy had originally been a privilege reserved for the upper class or elite people only. Before the printing press, books had to be handwritten by scribes. The process was long and tedious. Thus, the books were extremely expensive and only a small percentage of the population were able to afford them. The printing press made books cheaper and more readily available to the emerging middle class. Along with the invention of the printing press came an explosion of knowledge. Students no longer had to apprentice themselves to a master in order to learn. They could use silent instructors or books and learn things such as another language on their own. With books and updated versions of books becoming readily available to students, they were able to learn much more than was possible before. In some cases, they even began to surpass the knowledge of their elders and even of the ancients. It was also beneficial to scientists, who were able to reproduce their findings and pass it along to other scientists. The printing press also played a key role in religion. The Bible was able to be produced and distributed to not only the richest noblemen, but also to the poor commoner. People were able to read and interpret the Bible for themselves. Important historical figure Martin Luther began to question why the Bible was still being produced in Latin instead of the language of the local populace. He was also questioning some of the other things that the Catholic Church was doing. The Protestant Reformation was fueled by both Luther and the printing press. With the help of the printing press, Luther was able to make his ideas spread like wildfire across Europe. The printing press played a key role in changing how the world interacts with information. It was the first effective way to mass-produce documents, and it greatly multiplied society's access to alphabetic text. The printing press empowered the public by making information more easily accessible to everyone. It changed the way books looked. They had a more consistent look and feel due to regular spacing and consistent handwriting. It had consistent grammar, spelling, and punctuation, and the consistency of language rules made books more easily readable by the public, thus making information more readily available to the public. It also changed the way students researched and wrote. Scholarly writing became to be viewed as authorship, and reading came to mean gathering, comprehending, and making use of information from a variety of sources. The printing press helped people to interact more with information by making it more accessible. It also made it easier for people to develop their own opinions and theories. The printing press was definitely a very important invention. Today's scholars have been comparing the printing press to the internet because the internet has also changed the way the world interacts with information. It also has made information more easily accessible to more people, and has also made it significantly easier for people to form and publish their own opinions about things happening in society. Although the printing press has evolved significantly since Gutenberg, the press actually remained largely unchanged until the 19th century. Printers completed each step of the process by hand. Eventually, steam engines and later electrical engines were incorporated into the process. In the 1970s, computers were incorporated into the process. It was in the late 18th and early 19th century that inventors began modifying the printing press. They began replacing parts that had originally been made out of wood with parts made out of metal. Earl Stanhope of England invented the first printing press with a completely cast iron frame in 1800. He also added a combination of levers to give the press power. His printing press created more powerful, cleaner impressions than Gutenberg's did. In 1812, Friedrich Koenig invented the steam-driven printing press. His press could print 400 sheets per hour. Daniel Treadwell was the first one to attempt to mechanize printing in 1824. His press was 4 times faster than a hand press and produced high-quality prints. In 1832, Richard Hoe invented the cylinder press. The cylinder press could print between 1,000 and 4,000 prints per hour. And then in 1844, Richard Hoe invented another printing press, the rotary press. The rotary press could print 8,000 copies per hour and made printing large newspaper runs possible. In 1865, William Bullock invented the Bullock press, which was the first printing press to be fed by a continuous roll of paper. The press could print up to 12,000 pages per hour. A later version was able to print 30,000 pages per hour. However, until the late 19th and early 20th centuries, type still had to be assembled by hand. Monotype and linotype machines changed the printing process by using mechanical means of setting type. On a linotype machine, A person would type on a keyboard, similar to a typewriter. Typing on the keyboard produced a perforated band of paper. A machine then decoded the band and cast the type from hot metal. If the operator made a mistake, he would have to retype and recast the whole line because these machines cast a whole row of type at a time. In 1889, the monotype machine was invented. The monotype was very similar to the linotype machine. An operator would, just like with a linotype machine, type out a text. The difference was that the monotype was easier to correct because it was possible to remove a single letter of type. You didn't have to recast the whole row. Monotype produced a finer quality type, so it was frequently used in books, whereas the linotype machine was often used for newspapers because of its speed and economy. As you can see, printing has evolved a lot since the days of Gutenberg. We have come a long way in improving the efficiency and quality of printing. Printing today is very different. Today, Gutenberg's printing press would seem slow and tedious. You had to put type together by hand. It took even the most skilled worker about an hour to assemble 2,000 characters. It would take a computer today about 2 seconds to assemble that amount of characters. More words are being printed every second today than were being printed every year in the 15th and 16th centuries. Today, a student using a personal computer is simultaneously doing the jobs of author, editor, and compositor.